What if the most dangerous lie you've ever believed wasn't told by another person? What if it was something you called truth? Every day, billions of people wake up believing they know what is real. They defend opinions. They argue over morality. They fight for ideologies. They build entire civilizations on what they call truth. But Friedrich Nietzsche asked a question so unsettling that it continues to disturb philosophers more than a century later. What if there is no absolute truth? Not because reality doesn't exist, but because every human being experiences reality through the limits of their own perspective. Imagine two people standing before the same mountain. One sees beauty, the other sees an obstacle. The mountain has not changed. Only the minds observing it have. Nietzsche believed that this simple fact reveals something profound. What we call truth is often nothing more than interpretation. For centuries, humanity searched for certainty. Religion promised it. Politics claimed it. Science pursued it. Society demanded it. Every generation insisted that it had finally discovered the correct way to live. Yet history tells another story. Empires collapsed while believing they possessed the truth. Religions divided over competing truths. Nations went to war convinced that truth was on their side. If truth was so obvious, why has humanity never agreed on it? Nietzsche argued that people rarely seek truth itself. They seek comfort. They seek certainty. They seek beliefs that make life feel less frightening. Truth becomes valuable only when it protects the stories people already want to believe. That is why challenging someone's deepest beliefs often feels like attacking their identity. Because for many people, their beliefs are their identity. Most people never ask whether an idea is true. And that is where the illusion begins. From childhood, your mind becomes a mirror reflecting the voices around you. Parents tell you what is right. Teachers define success. Society rewards obedience. Culture whispers invisible rules until they sound like your own thoughts. Years later, you defend those beliefs with absolute confidence. Not because you discovered them, but because you inherited them. Nietzsche believed this inheritance creates the greatest illusion of all. He did not argue that nothing exists. He argued something far more unsettling, that every human mind looks at reality through its own lens, shaped by fear, desire, memory, culture, and survival. What one person calls justice, another calls oppression. But perhaps both are only seeing fragments. And if that is true, then the question is no longer, what is the truth? The real question becomes, who taught you to believe what you call truth? Because the moment you begin asking that question, the foundation beneath your identity begins to shake.
If there is no absolute truth waiting to be discovered, then why do people cling to their beliefs with such certainty? Nietzsche believed the answer lies deep within human nature. People do not merely seek truth, they seek stability. A predictable world feels safe. Uncertainty feels dangerous. The human mind would often rather accept a comforting illusion than face a painful question without an answer. This is why societies create systems of belief, not only to explain reality, but to protect themselves from the chaos of not knowing. Over time, these beliefs stop looking like choices. They begin looking like facts. Generation after generation inherits the same values until no one remembers who created them in the first place. People stop asking why something is considered good, evil, honorable, or shameful. They simply accept the rules because everyone before them did. Nietzsche saw this as one of humanity's greatest weaknesses. He believed that many moral values survive, not because they are eternally true, but because they have been repeated for so long that questioning them feels almost impossible. To challenge them is to risk rejection, and human beings fear rejection more than they fear ignorance. Look around. Most people believe they are independent thinkers, yet they speak with the voice of the crowd. They wear the mask of individuality, while quietly following invisible rules written by someone else. Nietzsche warned that the crowd has an extraordinary power, not because it forces you to obey, but because it convinces you that obedience is your own decision. The greatest chains are the ones you never notice. You believe you chose your dreams. But did you? Did you choose your definition of success? Or was it handed to you by a society that measures human worth through status, wealth, and approval? Did you choose your fears? Or were they planted by years of being told what you should never become? Most people spend their entire lives protecting beliefs they never truly investigated. And when those beliefs are challenged, they feel personally attacked, not because the ideas are sacred, but because their identity has become inseparable from those ideas. Nietzsche believed this is where genuine philosophy begins, not with easy answers, but with dangerous questions. Questions that strip away certainty. That loneliness is terrifying, yet Nietzsche saw it differently. He believed that every great transformation begins with the courage to stand apart from the herd, to admit, perhaps I have been wrong, to question traditions without hatred, to examine beliefs without fear, to destroy illusions, not because destruction is the goal, but because only when false foundations collapse can something authentic be built in their place. The crowd fears uncertainty because uncertainty demands responsibility. If no inherited truth can save you, then you must become responsible for creating meaning yourself.
But if inherited truths are illusions, what remains after they disappear? For most people, the answer is terrifying. Without familiar beliefs, life suddenly feels uncertain. The comforting stories that once gave direction begin to crumble. This is why so many people spend their lives defending ideas they have never questioned. It is easier to protect an illusion than to face the emptiness that appears when it falls apart. Nietzsche believed this fear keeps humanity trapped. Not trapped by chains, but by certainty. He argued that people often mistake confidence for truth. The louder an idea is repeated, the more believable it becomes. When millions agree on something, we instinctively assume it must be correct. Yet history tells a different story. Entire civilizations have celebrated injustice. Nations have praised cruelty as virtue. Generations have condemned those who later became heroes. The majority has never been a guarantee of truth. It has only been proof of agreement. That is why Nietzsche urged us to distrust the comfort of popular opinion. The crowd rewards conformity. It applauds obedience. It welcomes those who repeat familiar ideas. But the moment someone asks an uncomfortable question, the applause turns into suspicion. People do not fear lies nearly as much as they fear those who expose them. Because every exposed illusion forces a painful choice. Either change or continue living inside a comfortable fiction. Most choose the fiction, not because they are weak. It's humility. It demands the courage to admit, perhaps everything I believed about myself is incomplete. Few people are willing to do that. Instead, they build identities from labels, ideologies, traditions, and social approval. They spend years polishing an image that earns acceptance, while the person beneath that image slowly disappears. Nietzsche believed that this is the greatest tragedy of modern life. A person can become so skilled at pleasing the world that they completely forget how to listen to themselves. Ask yourself one question. Nietzsche never promised that independent thinking would make life easier. He believed the opposite. The person who refuses to follow the herd will often feel misunderstood. Friends may walk away. Society may call them arrogant, strange, or dangerous. They will experience loneliness that most people spend their entire lives trying to avoid. But Nietzsche saw loneliness differently. He believed solitude is not the absence of people. It is the birthplace of an independent mind. Because only in silence can you finally hear thoughts that do not belong to the crowd. Only in solitude can you separate your own voice from the endless noise of expectation. And perhaps that is why so few people ever discover who they truly are. Not because the truth is hidden, And only those who dare to silence those voices can begin creating a life that is genuinely their own.